Alright, we are recording, and first things first. Small Magellanic Cloud. This is actually a composite image of these from the Spitzer Space Telescope and Chandra X-ray Observatory. And I just think it's a really cool image. And yes, there's also a large Magellanic Cloud. Both of them are dwarf galaxies orbiting our own Milky Way galaxy. Anyway, so this video is going to be a fairly short one, and it's mainly to introduce a series of videos I'm doing that kind of started with a video I did concerning this book, I, Robot. That was titled Assigned Reading, and I'm going to be using that for the series, even though it's going to function a bit differently. That video I did because, well, school was starting at about that time, and I remembered how I, Robot is one book that I actually read it about 15 years ago, and I had to read it for a class. And yes, I definitely did enjoy it. And, I will at some point reread it, but not just yet. But when I do, I'll probably do this series with it, where the plan is, every time I finish a chapter in a book, whether it's a hardcover or an ebook, there we go, now we're seeing the e-reader, whichever it is, every time I finish a chapter, I will have notes that I will then base a video on and talk about how that chapter was, because an important part to writing is also reading. Whether it's literature like this or even news reading, reading the news. For a long time, I was reading science news way more than I was reading any kind of science fiction or other kinds of literature. It's actually kind of funny, because it was realizing that, and the fact that I'd written, I think, 3 novels at that point, that's like, I should really just start reading some every day. And I have managed to do that every day except for 2, and both were like, it's 1 a.m., I need to get to bed kind of thing. So that's why I missed those. Yeah, so that's my thinking, and I wanted to quickly explain what these assigned reading videos will be. So yeah, if I were going through iRobot, which I will at some point, not yet. I have other books on my schedule that I want to get to first. I'm just trying to pull up the table of contents. So the idea would be that because this introduction might be its own video, Robbie run around every time I finish one, I would record a video. There's a total of 10, counting the introduction. And then probably at the end, I'd record a video that would be just overall what I thought about the book, giving criticisms both positive and negative. Because that's what you should be doing if you're writing. You should be, trying to enjoy, well, not just books, really any stories. If it's movies, that's fine. Music, that's fine. Video games, that's fine. Whatever it is. I feel it's good to do that and be critical. Find the stuff that you like. That's the positive criticism. But also the negative criticism, the stuff that you don't like, where it's like, yeah, I need to make sure I not replicate that in my own stories. So, figure why not go through and you start making that more of a process and sharing it all, because it, depending on the story, could also be a lot of fun. It'll also be interesting to see how it goes, because iRobot is a modern story. The next books I actually do want to be reading, also modern stories, but I also like reading some classic stories, which sometimes don't translate well or haven't been translated well into modern English. Yeah. We'll see how that goes, but still, I would recommend reading them. It just might not translate to video so well when talking about, and I've already gone through the Iliad and the Odyssey. Those are not necessarily the easiest to get through, but very much worth reading. I'm glad I read them. Very enjoyable story. Anyway, I figure this isn't what I'm doing next. I'll save what the first video will be, what the first book will be, for when I actually get to that video. Should be fun, but it is also legitimately the next book I wanted to read after having just finished the one I was in. So, yeah. Oh, and one other thing. I do intend to at some point also go through at least some of my books doing the same thing. It's just I'm not going to be doing that right away because I want to read these other ones. And I also want to finish up some other stuff first before I get to that. But that should also be interesting because, the ability to then give a commentary and share some of what was going on, what my thinking was when I was doing one thing or another in that book. Should be. Anyway, I'll see you then.